Hi everyone, my name is Crystal Sands and I'm the chicken mama behind Pajamas, Books, and Chickens. So if you are watching this video, you probably know my work. I blog some about parenting, but mainly about my chickens. And I wanted to start a series of videos to support my blog and my Facebook page, Pajamas, Books, and Chickens. And I'm mostly going to talk about chickens and things that I've learned, but I'm starting the series with a focus on books because I do write about books as well. And I'm starting with a little bit of a bias, and I'll tell you about the bias. I am going to be sharing a book with you. It is a collection of children's poems, and this is the collection. It's called Why the Moon Tumbled Out of the Sky and Other Poems. It is written by my husband, an amazing poet and writer, R. James Sands, and it's illustrated by my son, and I'll show a picture here. This is one of my favorites. And I wanted to share this book with you today because it's so relevant to what I do in terms of Pajamas, Books, and Chickens. Because this is a children's book of poetry that's wonderful and whimsical and so much fun. And in my opinion, the best poem in it is a poem about a chicken. And this poem is about a chicken that is very near and dear to my heart. It is about our very own black chicken named Poe. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about Poe before I read her poem. Poe is like special from the beginning. When we first got her, I didn't even know what kind of chicken she was, but she was so unique. She had a different personality. She's very sweet, but also there's like a wildness to her that you just have to admire. The thing that is most fascinating about Poe, though, is that she just goes along and gets along with everybody. My other hens will kind of squabble and fight, but not Poe. She stays out of trouble, and she's also non-judgmental about any other chickens. Anytime we have some like lone chicken who has to be introduced to the flock, we start by letting the chicken live with Poe because Poe is interested and curious in everybody and is never mean. So Poe is very special and very near and dear to us. She also likes to fly and she's really good at it too for a chicken. Anyways, my husband, as he was working on this collection of children's poems, Why the Moon Tumbled Out of the Sky, one night I came down to his office and he said that he had been working on a poem about Poe. And I'm like, oh, really? Because obviously I love chickens, I love Poe, I love books. This was very exciting to me. And he wasn't sure about it. He started reading it to me, and I was, by I would say the third stanza, in tears and blown away. I have a PhD, and my minor for my PhD was children's literature, so I've studied a lot of children's literature and children's poetry. And as my husband was reading this to me, I was just like, this is amazing. People need to read this poem. And so we did include it in the collection, and we're just kind of getting everything off the ground with our publishing company. It's called Blue Moose Publishing, and I think that Poe's special poem is one that can really help us spread the word about this amazing collection. But I'm going to start reading Poe's poem. And I have to warn you that I have read this poem about 200 times. I've not yet been able to get through it without crying a little bit. I think that it's a poem that is going to be meaningful, first of all, to anyone who loves chickens, but also to anyone who's ever been different, anyone who's ever been through tragedy and hoped for magic to help. And so, without further ado, this is The Black Chicken Named Poe by R. James Sands. She wasn't quite a raven, not even as close as a crow. She was actually just a black chicken. Her people gave her the name Poe. From the start, she was not like the others, all browns and Rhode Island reds. Nor was she much like the raven who lived in the pines past the fence. The raven who lost his one love to boys who'd done what they shouldn't. Two ravens had perched on a bough. One flew, the other one couldn't. A sorrow which Poe could not know, observed from the shade of the trees, while she alone in the yard watched the others scratch for insects and seeds. They cackled and scolded and clucked. "Stay away, she is not one of us. She's flighty and wild and thin, and her feathers are all ashes, midnight, and dust." Poe sometimes did dash about in sudden and furious flapping. She'd beat the air with her wings, catching random winds in their passing. Her greatest wish was to soar over the tops of the trees in flight. But she was an earth-bound chicken, and the bonds of this earth are tight. One dusk the raven's lone call stirred the silent shade in the pines, as a fox crept under the fence. One hen yet remained outside. Poe looked for one last chance for flight at the end of her day. The fox caught Poe's silhouette and quickly went loping her way. Sorrow then flew from the trees. Faster and faster she went. The fox closed in upon Poe as she flapped for her final ascent. The fox snapped a foxy-toothed grin, but jaws closed only on wind. As sorrow began to transcend, Poe took flight in the end. She wasn't quite just a chicken, and maybe more than a crow, but it's said she's been seen with a raven, the flying black chicken named Poe. I hope you enjoyed that. I will be making more videos. I hope you'll follow me. Thank you for listening.